We're not. We are. Hey, Jesse's playing mind games with us.
Hey guys, I love you.
I'm
You're
playing
welcome.
love. Are you playing love games?
Oh, love games, nice.
Love games with me.
Love games.
I'm playing them love games with me. Do you love
Coming
me?
out because I need to know, because I need your love life. Come on, do you love me? Oh, Greg. I'm all Greg. If anybody knows what we're talking about, congratulations, you've seen the Mighty Boosh.
That's right. Congratulations.
If you don't, congratulations, you haven't suffered through it. Um, welcome everybody. I'm gonna give it to Joe because he's the host.
You're doing a great job. I was just
No,
handing it off to you, man. You're
no,
doing
man,
awesome.
it's dude. I was in the middle of drinking this water, so for some reason,
You were. That's good. Well, welcome everyone. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. It's the Wednesday edition, which is the only edition of Don't Worry Wednesday. But yes, we on this show we talk about any problems, challenges, issues, topics. You provide us the topics. If you'd like. Oh, Jesse cut us.
oh jeez, cut. I think he said that right after you said, "Don't worry." Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the only version of Don't Worry Wednesday or something. The
Yep.
Wednesday version, which is the only version
Done.
of Don't Worry Wednesday.
Yes. But anyway, this is a show for you guys, and really from you guys, because we take your topics that you ask us about, anything that might be bothering you, any challenges you might be going through, and we discuss them here. We don't try to pretend like we're professional therapists or psychoanalysts or anything like that, because we're not. But we just want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we possibly can to just offer some encouragement, some love, and some perspective along the way, because we know that you're smart enough to figure a lot of this out on your own. However, sometimes it just helps to have a little bit of an outside perspective, to just see things a whole new, different way. That's been the case for me so many times, where all I needed was just a little bit of an outside perspective, and then I was able to say, "Oh yeah, then I can just take this, move this, do this," and then everything seems much better and is much easier to get through. So, anyway, welcome again. And this show is produced by Jesse, and Princess is our chat room hostess, and she keeps us on track, and she reads our topics now, which is amazing. She's awesome. And the star of the show is the P of Static. He's right up there. What do you think, Static? How you doing?
Hey, I think great stuff.
You think?
And I think positive stuff. I think about the good times. I think about the bad times. I think about the best times. What song is that? Yeah, Donny Boy. I sure do, Donny Boy. I get knocked down, but I get back up again. Yeah, and I'm
Good.
gonna keep me down. That's
Good.
what I think. And back to you, Joe.
Hey, thanks.
Back to you, bro. For weather.
We do have a question from Egg here.
Mm-hmm.
My topic is that I'm very sad that I don't know the Criminal Idol secrets, and I went through
Mm-hmm.
it all, charted it all, but I couldn't solve it, and it makes me sad. So I need to
Mm-hmm.
fix this. Yes, secrets
Um.
from Egg, and
So
Egg says, "I think the police being corrupt in Detective, and the fact that Nori is in jail for his alibi are linked."
mm,
That
well, maybe
some
you're
some of
onto
these some of
something.
these secrets. Now here you are going. You may or may not be going beyond the scope of season one
That is true.
and
There are
into
many
season
things to be
two.
revealed in season 2, which is why I can't tell everybody. Like, there are things, right? You guys ever watched Lost? You guys ever watch the TV show Lost, where it's like they keep on adding more and more crazy questions? It's like, why is that the thing? Why is that a thing? And they never answer them. I won't do that to you guys, okay? I won't do that to you guys. There
Good.
is a season
Thank you.
2, all right? And it solves pretty much every question. But I'm sorry, guys, I'm a bit slow, and I've been slow on this. But it will get there. We will get there, and we'll get there together. And we'll get
Sure.
to experience it.
Yes.
Um, so I apologize it's taking me so long, Spoopy Egg, but it just has.
Yep. And all secrets will be revealed, and then you'll be like, "Oh, but then there's some other ones."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, technically, not even all the secrets have been written and figured out, even among the
Mhm.
people creating the story,
Yeah,
because they're loose ends, and we can tie them off however we feel like is going to be best for the story.
like
Um,
really, is Aoke's hair naturally blue?
that's a fantastic question. If it is, how?
Yeah, I have never met anybody with naturally blue hair. I've seen people with blue hair,
Oh, I have.
but not naturally blue. You have.
Um, I found people that have naturally blue hair because they're really old. They call it blue. It's actually white, but they call it blue or silver.
Oh, interesting.
That doesn't apply to. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, because she's not old. I
Yeah,
don't
she's
think.
not. She's not.
Unless she's a very old high school person
Hmm.
or something. Yeah. But but anyway, thanks for that topic. The teacher is gonna be evil. I know it. Ooh
Mm.
boy.
There's some things that I just
You
can't.
just can't
It
say
will
it.
be. You
Yeah,
guys
that's what
will learn.
I almost opened my mouth and said some stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. That's the hard thing, right? When you're. I mean, there are many times where I think I've gone too far and said too much to people. But you know what? It's all right.
Yes. And you know what, Jono, you are right. If you share your music with good musicians, they can give you good feedback. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And that's why I really appreciate your feedback on my songs because you are a tremendous musician. Anyone who has not looked up John O'Taylor on SoundCloud, you should do it
Yeah, check out
because
John
there's
Taylor.
some
He's awesome.
great stuff on SoundCloud. Yeah. So anyway, what do you think? We should do this show, don't you think?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Definitely. Let's do
So
it.
I don't even have the topics page open yet. I'm so behind. It's amazing. Princess, you can scold me later, I guess. Or scold me in the chat now. Um, but let's see. So I am going to list off a bunch of topics here, and we'll see how many people we have in here with us tonight. But I will list off a bunch of names, and if you hear your name, then give us a what's up with your mom and dad in the chat, or give us the dab emoji in the chat, which works as well. And yeah. So anyway, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Mark Anthony, Royal, Sev Lev, Sparrow, Hyrule, Noah, Yume, and Cody. And there's a few of you that I know I've seen here. Hyrule, yep.
Hey.
Hyrule, I know you're here.
Yep.
And Noah, I think I saw Noah here too.
And Princess is here as well, of course.
Princess is here. Princess has a topic. I didn't list off Princess's topic because
It's in progress.
uh it's in
Okay.
progress. Yes. And I know Sparrow is
Cody.
here, was here. And also, oh, I wanted to
Cody's
also
here.
give those of you a shout out, those of you who joined us on the very first Double Cup of Joe live recording session last night. Wasn't that a great time? You guys really made that super fun for Joe and I. And I see a few of you that were here that were
Yeah,
there
Spoopy Egg. I'm
last night.
sad that I missed it. I wanted to catch it, but I didn't know what time it was, and I missed it. So
Yep.
luckily, I'll be able to join this next week.
Yeah, they're gonna be Tuesdays at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And yeah, just if you get the notifications from the YouTube channel, you'll know when they're gonna be. But also on our channel's homepage, if you click the community button, then there's that schedule. It has not been updated. I need to update it, but it will be, the next one is scheduled for next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, where's my music uploaded? I don't have very many songs uploaded actually right now. The only ones that I have are now on the channel for a single duel.
Oh, a single.
Yes. So actually I can change, I can switch accounts and I can be that guy. That'd be fun. Let's do that.
Wait, so what about? Okay, you go ahead and link it then, Joe.
There it is. Yeah, but I'm gonna be a single duel tonight. It's gonna be fun. Actually, I might be some of both. We'll see if that works. Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. I can be both. All right. So we've got a topic.
Multiple people at
and
one time.
Yes, let's see. So we've got I think the first in line is Hyrule. So we should do that one first. Yes. So Hyrule, let's see. Let's get the link. Oh, let's see if I can get it. Can I get it? Can I get it? Can I get it? Or did Princess already put it there? Trying to get it. Nope, I got it. Oh yeah, look at
Oh yeah. By like a second
Trying
or
to do my
less,
little
less than
happy
a second.
dance.
Not to be confused with the handsome dance.
The handsome dance. Yeah, this is the happy dance.
This is the happy dance.
Yeah.
We gotta get a bobblehead going.
Did you ever get you ever shake a bobblehead so it went like
It's hard to do that because they end up going.
It is.
You get one in before it just goes a mess.
Yes.
It goes awry.
Anyway, all right. So this is from Hyrule, and we will have Princess read it. You can go ahead and click the link there and read along with Princess. So Princess, take it away.
Hello. This may be a rant, but I don't know. Recently, I've been thinking about my mindset towards creative media, music, and game development. One of them is a mindset of just make it and make more of it, to feel your way around it. The other is a little different. It's more negative. It has been amazing and it has been good, and I cannot be bad. Everything needs to be perfect. I say that's negative when the words were positive. This mindset starts to go away, but still things that bring it back, like being overwhelmed or not motivated to do things, are coming back. I would like to find a good balanced mindset with both things, and I think I'm getting there. It's a slow process, but I'm just gonna take it one code line at a time. I just wanted to know your thoughts and opinions. Thank you, Hyrule. P.S. This VST is amazing, and there's a little learning curve, but it's still so good.
Oh, Big Fish Audio. Monumentum. I haven't seen this one. Momentum. Sorry, Monumentum is totally not what it says.
It's okay.
It's a VSTI.
Free plugin. Oh,
Well, all right. Well, thanks for the heads up. I'll check it out.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Now I'm all distracted by the new VST.
Yeah. That's.
Hey, new stuff, man. Yes. But anyway, wow. Thank you so much for the topic, and I understand your thought process. When I make anything, I want it to be perfect. I want it to be right. I want it to be good. I want it to be amazing. I want to cover all the bases I possibly can. When I'm about to release something, I want to have all my promotional stuff in place already. I want to have everything all set up before I even release. And you know what happens? Whenever I have that mindset, it takes me so long to release anything. It's crazy. But sometimes the best thing you can do is just start. And I know Ryan, I admire this in Ryan so much because that's what he did a few years ago. He just started putting songs out there, and he I don't think he even told any of us. He was just like, all of a sudden Detective was out. And I was like, hey, there's a new song. Yeah, how about that? And then not long after that was Life Might Take Us. And then that was out, and I was like, dude, I love these songs. And then all of a sudden it turned into this whole big thing. And now it's Criminal Idol, and we've run a Kickstarter campaign, and there's an album release, and I just uploaded a whole bunch of stuff to CD Baby. And there's all kinds of there's this team effort going on around this whole big thing. But it all started with him just making some songs, making some videos, and just putting them out there. And then everything else kind of got figured out along the way. But so I'm going to turn it over to him because he knows this so well. And I know you're not over there. You're over there on my screen, but you're actually up there. So
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing when you start worrying. I want it to be amazing. I want it to be perfect. It has to be good, right? It can't be bad. If it's bad and if it's cringy, then people aren't going to like it. And so then you go backwards, right? You get negative rapport. People don't want to check out your other stuff. If that's the case, if you have other stuff, I totally get it. And I think that is a very healthy aspect of the mind and creativity. I'll tell you what, of all the people I know, the people that are best at their fields are the people who are conscious of what is good, right? I say this because I've heard, you can hear this. You can go out into the world and see people who say, hey, I'm a really good singer, right? And they sing and you're like, well, there's a lot of improvement you could do. The main thing is your pitch. Um, you know, um, but they believe that they're really good. And that comes from not being associated enough or having a mind for desiring and really cracking down on what you have and trying to make it the best, right? So having a mind where you desire that perfection, you want things to be really good. You want to make sure there's not any bad or errors or points where the lines don't meet up or there's inconsistency. You're trying to get all of that out, right? Out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's a healthy thing. And in fact, that's what drives us to become better and better. As long as it doesn't hold us back, right? That desire to become better and better stems from realizing that we're not yet good enough, that we can get better, that there's more we can do, right? But also that has to coincide with the feelings of knowing that you can get better, knowing that if you keep on doing it, it will get better and better, knowing that just like anything, the more you do it, you get better.
Mm-hmm.
And not giving up on that. Don't give up on that aspect, right? Or you'll always never finish, basically. So one of the things, honestly, just like Joe was saying, you just do it. You just start something and you do it and you do it and you do it, right? And yeah, there comes a point where you might feel like, oh, I'll never finish it. It's taking too long. And I get it. Right now I'm learning Japanese and like absolutely. I have to put an insane amount of time. If I really want to learn the language, I have to put an insane amount of time to get good at it. It might even have to be that 10,000 hour mark before I can actually speak and listen to Japanese fluently, right? And 10,000 hours is a lot. However, you got to start somewhere and you got to continue, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to start somewhere and you got to continue and keep at it. And what you find is this, as long as you're doing that, you'll see things progress to certain points and to certain stages and be like, wow, I have actually finished a whole song. It might have taken me an entire 3 months, but I have done it. Look at it. Here it is. Now, yes, there are certain things I could do to make it better. I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with it. I don't know what it is. I don't understand yet what it is, but I can tell it doesn't sound as good as I want it to. Right? That happens. And at that point, you can say, you know what? That's fine. It's time to start another project. Because the thing is, one, if you feel like, okay, there's something missing, then you can always go out and search for it. Go Google it, talk to other people who are musicians and figure that out. Or if you're doing coding, talk to other people who code, talk to other people who program, who do games. Have other people try out your product and tell you what they think. Those type of things are available to you. But at some point, right, you just have to move on. When do you pick that point to move on? So that you don't weigh yourself down into this. Like, because if you never move on and you keep on working on one project forever, you'll never have anything that you feel like you ever put out. And it's going to weigh down on you. And it's going to feel like, wow, I can't finish anything. I've worked on this for so long and I've got nothing to show it for it, right? I feel like I've got nothing to show for it. In reality, you have a bunch to show for. You've gained a lot of skills to be able to finish that project to begin with, or to do it to begin with. But you do need to finish it. You do need to say, you need to find a point where you're just like, okay, it's good enough. release it, move on to the next thing. And here's the best way that I can hopefully help you figure out what that point is. Because that point, I think for so many people, including myself, until I really thought this through, is so undefined. What is the point in which you decide, okay, this is good enough, I'll move on? Because otherwise we can spend all of eternity trying to perfect something and making it better and better and better. In fact, we could do that same thing and end up with something that gets worse and worse and worse. They say that sometimes less is more. I could work on a song and it could be really simple and everybody in the world would love it. But I could go into it and be like, yeah, but I could add more. I could do something here. I could add these phrases to it that could really spice it up. But then am I adding too much to the song? Maybe I have to start taking things away, and then you end up going back and forth and back and forth. And I've done that. I've written entire huge, massive scores to just delete line, delete line, delete line, delete line, simplify it. Now there's only like 2 instruments and it sounds way better. Okay, I've never done actually 2 instruments.
Dude,
Joe knows that.
If anybody has ever seen a song of Ryan's with only 2 channels on it, man.
No, usually they get up there. Remember, like when I first started writing music, I think it was like 64 different lines of instruments, like for every single song.
Yeah. I remember mixing those.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm really sorry about that, because no one wants to mix 64 channels or more. One of them, Steve dissected it, turned into like 100 and something.
Right. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah. So anyways,
my computer.
Dude, my computer's worse than yours at that time. It was so bad. The only reason I could listen to them was I'd export these, like, I would write the song and I have no idea what it sounds like. I'm like, I bet this would sound good. I'm just gonna write it out and bet this would sound good. All right, after I'm done writing it out, export this like 4-second length of audio, and it took like 30 minutes. And then I'd be like, sweet, 30 minutes is over. Click play, listen. Oh, but that part's good. Oh, yeah, no. No. All right, going back into that and make, we wrote a whole album like that. Guys, that was how we started. Anyway, that's how I started. So if you feel like you can't do anything because you're technologically impaired or something, your computer's not good enough, whatever, just try. Be patient. But ultimately, the thing I was going to say is, what's that point where it's good enough, right? Where is that? How do you define that point? Because that can be so hard to figure out. When is it good enough to just release it? And I'll tell you, it's this. When you get to the point in whatever you're producing, and you are starting to realize that your time is losing value in that production, it's time to move on. What I mean is, I could be writing a song, I could start a whole new song, or I could keep on working on this one. Am I reaping more value out of continuing to work on this one? Or is this one good enough that I'll reap pretty much the same amount of value no matter what I do, or maybe a tiny bit more? That tiny bit is nothing compared to starting a whole new song, right? So if I'm writing a song and I get to a point where it's like, okay, this could technically be called finished, and I listen to it and I'm like, is it more valuable for me to work on some of these fine-tuned parts? Sometimes the answer is yes. But if I go, no, I can actually spend my time working on a whole new song or a whole the next section of code or whatever it is, then I should. Now, the thing is, there's also a sense of motivation and creativity. If you are working on a piece of code, right, and you get to a point where you're starting to like, it's pretty complete, but there's a few bugs and you're not sure how to solve them yet, there comes a point where you start to become unmotivated, and you just start to like, man, I can't figure it out. One of the things I would suggest is, just like they suggest on tests, take that part, move it to the side, come back to it later, work on something else for a while, right? That way you can start to feel like you're progressing again, right? And then you'll learn probably as you do that more, you're going to do a whole new set of your coding, right? You're going to do a whole new set of stuff. And as you do that, right, you are going to start to feel, you're going to start to learn and understand even more what you're dealing with when you come back to the other stuff. Um, Jesse actually just said, well, we just had a meeting before this, and one of the things Jesse was saying, he just went through coding boot camp,
Mm.
and he just completed it. He's going to get a certificate of whatever, and it's awesome. And it took him a lot of time and energy. It's been crazy for him. His schedule's been crazy. Like we weren't able to do any streaming with him. It's been, that's how busy he's been
Yeah,
doing
it's
work.
been crazy busy.
Anyways, um, during like one of the last days, apparently they were talking about something. I can't remember the term that Jesse used, but it was what was it? Something syndrome. Jesse, you can put in the chat if you're here.
Imposter
But
syndrome.
imposter syndrome, yes, imposter syndrome, where you feel like you're an imposter, sort of thing. Like, man, I'm not good enough to do this. I
Mhm.
don't know enough to complete this code. I will never be good enough. And that's normal. A lot of people experience that. I've experienced that, right? In a lot of things. Um, that's a normal feeling. Pursue anyways. Continue anyways, because that's how you learn. You have to go through those moments and stick with it anyways, even when you feel like, okay, I just don't know enough. You know, just continue anyways. And you'll get better, and you will find out the information that you need to solve it later. But yeah, that's kind of everything I've got to say. And I hope that that helps. But yeah, I'm going to move it on to Joe, see what he's got to say in this field.
This Ryan, I appreciate that. This topic I love because this is something I've struggled with for so long, and I've recently started to learn some things about how to cope with it, how to deal with it, and how to just kind of like root it out a little bit. And this is one of the big topics that I've been journaling about recently too. Is like mainly because like we started doing Double Cup of Joe show back in March, and we did it live every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And it was crazy. And so like there we were, and Joe was always like half asleep, and like I was always like really energetic. And so we were like, hey, we should do this pre-recorded when we're a little bit more vibrant, and then we can do that. And so we kind of just set a date to start doing it that way, to start having everything shift over to being edited and pre-produced shows that we were releasing every day. And I knew I was going to be the person that was doing all the editing and stuff like that for the video. And so I kind of put some commitment pressure on myself when I was like, all right, well, we're going to do it now. And hopefully it turns out okay, I guess. Like we're going to find out. But the thing that was beautiful about that is I was forced to just get things as best as I could in a reasonable amount of time and then put it out there. These shows, my earliest shows, you guys are seeing like, hey, I'm fairly novice at video editing, and I'm getting better, but this is part of my education where I'm learning how to do this better and better. And one of the things I've learned is that accepting the fact that I'm not very good at this, that's like perfect for my mindset, because I'm like, you know what? It's not going to be all that great yet. I don't have enough experience. So this is all a journey of experience and getting better and trying and learning new things, and and trying to polish things up better and make it better each time. And the thing that if I were to do that all before I released one video, I still wouldn't have released any videos.
Right. Right.
So it was like, all right, I'm just going to start doing this. And I don't care if they're not good right now, because of course they're not going to be good. I'm a beginner. So I'm going to just keep trying, and I'm going to try and keep getting better. That's all I can do. And so, one of the things that's interesting that I've learned about doing it this way, it's like almost the more things you finish, you unlock like new areas for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
that you would not have known if you were still working on the same project until it was like super duper perfect. You
That's so
wouldn't,
true.
you get there faster, you learn things faster, and you learn how to improve things faster. So it's been a really interesting ride so far, and we're brainstorming ways to make the show better. We're brainstorming different ways to do things. You will see on Friday there's a little minor format change that saves me a bunch of time in the editing stage, and it also is engaging as much as the way I've been doing it. And like, so they're just little changes that have been taking place, and sometimes I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants, but that's okay, because I know this is a journey. I'm not as good as I'm going to be. I might not be that great right now and you can take that and put it in any field. I have to remind myself, everything we do, we stink at when we get started. Everything. I mean, unless you have like this grand natural talent for something and you start and you automatically pick it up, everything we do, we're not good at it. Think of walking. We weren't good at that to begin with. And we tried and we tried and we went, and we failed a bunch and we finally made it. Driving a car, we weren't all that great at it till we like learned how to do it, and then even when we started learning how to do it, we weren't all that great at it. And then even after, I know a lot of people who have their license and have nice cars and they stink at driving still. It's like, there's this really, really, this nice side of town in the city where I live in. There's this really like nice area. And I feel like I ought to put a sign there that says, this area, proof that having a nice car does not necessarily make you a good driver. Because there are so many people with so many nice brand new cars that are super duper awesome looking, some sport utility vehicles, like really Cadillacs, and then really nice luxury cars and everything, and they're just driving around like maniacs, man. But at least they're out there trying it.
And making it never dangerous, but at least they're trying.
Yep.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I got to tell you, Hyrule, one thing, you can take your own experience into account here, because if I'm not mistaken, you are Billy Tilly on SoundCloud. And
I think that's correct.
you produce tons of stuff in music, or at least you have. And I remember just being amazed at the amount of productivity that level, like, because you have produced so much and released stuff on such a fast schedule. Like, you had an incredible speedometer when it was coming to amount of production, and it was quality stuff. It wasn't like you just slapped it together real quick and put it out there like it was nothing, like I'm doing with Double Cup of Joe. Like, you're actually producing quality material. And you're doing it fast. 110 tracks. Nice. But so take that same principle. Ryan and I have a thing that we started to say to each other. It's not done until it's public. And when you get in the habit of finishing things and finishing things, like on a timely fashion, you give yourself some deadlines, you give yourself some goals, and you're like, all right, I got to finish by now, or else I can't, or else it's dead. The project is dead if it's not done by this point in time. And then it's done. You get in that habit, you will learn so fast, because you'll be producing and you'll be releasing so often. Like I said, it's almost like you unlock, it's just like new techniques become obvious to you. You learn things so much faster. So I hope some of that makes sense. But that's a lot of the experience that I've been dealing with recently, and just understanding that it's a journey, that everything, no matter what you decide to do, you are not as good as you're going to be as long as you stick with it. But you got to keep going. And it's a lot more fun when you have a track record. It's a lot more fun. Like, I would be having a lot more fun if I had a SoundCloud account like yours, where I had a whole ton of stuff released. That would be cool. I dream of one day getting to that point. We're working on it. But at any rate, Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think you covered it. I think that you're on your way to being an incredibly influential person, if if I may, because you are extremely creative, but you're also extremely productive in that. So I don't think you have any reason to doubt um, your understanding of when to finish a project, or when good is good enough, or any good reason to say, or to dote on yourself or anything, because I think that you are, just like Joe was saying, you're very productive and you're very good at what you do, whatever it is that you do. So that only comes through trying, right? And as long as you keep on doing that, I think that you are set for success, dude. Just keep on keeping on. um, Perseverance is the number one trait for success. I mean, they've interviewed thousands of incredibly successful people, millionaires, billionaires, etc. And the one feature that they all had in common, to be sure, was perseverance. They all persevered. That was it. Everything else might have been different, but they all had perseverance. They all stuck with it when the times got rough. And I think that as long as you've got that working for you, then you're set, man.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it going, dude. But yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for the topic. And yeah, for those of you who didn't know before, go check out Billy Tilly on SoundCloud. There's some great stuff on there. I've been so impressed with the level of ability in this community. It's just amazing. So thank you so much for the topic. And yeah, hopefully some of that makes sense. So anyway, and also thank you for the VST.
Yeah,
I look forward
I'll have
to
look into it. Yeah,
playing with it. And I like that it's free. It's the right price.
Yeah, that's the perfect price for me. I like that.
We've dropped some coinage on some VSTs
Oh
and
yeah.
DAWs, and man, it's
Yeah, the music industry is one of the most expensive industries in the entire planet to get into.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff you can spend your money on.
Oh
That's
yeah.
for sure. But anyway, thank you so much for the topic. Let's move on to the next one, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next we have, okay, wow, we've got some new people here. Looks like next in line is Noah. Noah, you're still here? Yes, looks like Noah's still here.
Yeah.
I just saw.
What?
I just
Where?
Up there. right up there.
No, that's his topic. I just wanted to say it because it.
Oh.
No, he's still here? Yeah, he's still here. What? Where?
Where?
Oh, no, that's the name of his topic.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry.
Nice.
I like it.
Free 99. So, all right, cool. Well, there's the link. Princess beat me to it, so I'm just gonna click it, and we'll go there. Princess, feel free to start whenever you want.
Hello, my name is Noah, not Princess. Sorry. When I was younger, I had a brain tumor, which caused my pituitary to hit against my right eyeball, which caused me to be blind in my right eye. It's become a hassle because sometimes I can't see what's going on, considering my peripheral vision is on the right side is way worse than the average person. Surgery happened when I was 5, and for the last 7 years of my life, I've been living with my right eye blind. My problem is people see things that I can't. And after I look in the direction of what happened, it's already over. Or maybe someone would point out something like an animal on the side of the road, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So I just sit there and act like I know what they're talking about. I feel like I'm missing out on enjoyment and memories that I could be making because I only have one eye. And sometimes I feel like I don't fit in if I'm not laughing, but everyone else is. And it happens super frequently too. I think there's a looming feeling that someone or something is always going to be happening and I'm never going to see it. I know this isn't super major or anything, but I did want to get your opinions on it. This may not be the best writing, but try not to blame me. I'm just a kid in middle school. P.S. Ryan, I love your music. Keep doing what you're doing. Sincerely, Noah.
Wow, thank you so much for the topic, Noah. And I'm so sorry to hear about this challenge. It's definitely, it's one that you definitely didn't bring on yourself. It's one that, happened to you, that you had no control over, and you're doing the best you can to deal with all the stuff that came from it. And man, it definitely sounds like a challenge. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I love about Ryan is he takes the things that, that are hard in life. And he's done this for me many, many times, things that are difficult. And he's helped me figure out, you know what, because of that thing that's happening, there is good that comes from it. And he is so good at finding it. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say. So, Ryan?
Awesome. Well, thanks, Joe. I think that we've all done that for each other at BSS. It's a very beautiful friendship we all have. But yeah, first of all, Noah, thank you for this post, and thank you for the good words. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you like my music, and I will keep on doing what I'm doing. I appreciate it, man. Also, your writing is 100% good. You might be in middle school, but you write just as good as I do. So yeah, no problems there. So yeah, this is a unique problem. This is something that not a lot of people go through. And by that, I mean 1% of the population, if that, are blind in one eye, right? One thing to consider is that, so often we immediately think that things are bad just because we're like, okay, what is good? What is good? Having both eyes see. So what is bad? Having one of my eyes not see, right? So we go, okay, this is a bad thing, right? And you can see it that way if you want. But I like to say opinions, right? Because it's not necessarily a fact that it's not definitely bad, right? You might say, well, losing sight in one eye is bad because we're supposed to have 3D vision, right? But you don't get to pick. It is already over with, right? It wasn't your choice. So what you make of it now is going to determine how you feel about the situation you're in, how you feel about yourself as a person, right? How you feel about other people, because other people see better than you, right? Because they see in 3D, you see in 2D, because you only have one eye. That works correctly here, right? So instinctively we go, okay, this is bad for me. And I would like to take a moment to question that. Is it bad for you? First of all, like I said, this is something that happens to only 1% of population or less, right? This is an experience that you get to go through that is something genuine to you, something unique to you. A lot of times when you see a character in a movie, right? If you were to watch a cartoon or an anime, or to watch a movie and you see one of the characters has only one eye, right? You personally, on a personal level, right, would relate to them, but everybody else wouldn't. But you know what's funny? Everybody would feel like they related to that character. Everybody watching that movie would be like, man, I relate to that character. You want to know why? Because each one of us has these faulty parts about us and our bodies, about the way that our brains work or don't work. We have SK in the chat here talking about they're not sure if they have ADHD or what the deal is, but they have a very hard time and struggling, a very hard time studying, and they're in school and all that kind of stuff, and they're worried about that, right? That's their personal dilemma that they're going through, right? Some of us have really intense social anxiety. Some of us have really slow learning. We can't learn certain subjects very fast. We have problems with certain subjects our entire life. And for some reason, it's just the way we're built. The thing is, as you go through your journey, you recognize something. I didn't need both of my eyes to be a saint. I didn't need both of my eyes to be a hero. I didn't need both of my eyes to make a good impact on that person's life, to save that person from that burning fire, to do whatever it is I was built to do. Because nothing was taken away from me that stops me from being the person I want to be, the person that I would admire, the person that if I looked at to the future right now, he would be my hero. Nothing stops me from being that person. And that's true for you. I mean, when we suffer in certain parts of our lives, one, we can understand that that's a sacrifice, right? I'm willing to live my life even if I'm not the best at everything. I'm willing to live my life even if I'm not the best at anything, because this life is beautiful and it's wonderful, and I'm thankful I get to live it. I'm the only one that gets to live this one. And this one that I'm living is the only one that makes the impact I make. I've made an impact on the world, right? And I will continue to do so. But that's not because I'm any better than anybody else. I'm not more valuable. It's not because I have two eyes or because I have both nostrils. It's not because of the way that I necessarily am designed. We all have a part in this world. We can all make a huge difference. It's just a matter of if we decide to and stick with that decision, right? So the things that matter in life, I find more often than not, the problems I have only magnify, only add to the greatness that I achieve. Because if you watch like a movie, right? When you watch their setbacks and it's like, wow, they're really bad at this, but they're trying so hard anyways. They have this problem, but they go at it anyways. It adds so much glory to that person's life. And it makes what they do mean so much more. And because it means so much more, it impacts so much more. I once saw a person on stage who gave a speech and he literally had no legs and no arms. No legs, no arms. Not even joking. He's like perched up on stage and he's given this talk, and like people in the crowd are crying like you couldn't believe. Well, of course they are. People complain about their own problems and they're staring at this guy who's literally got no legs and no arms. And they're like, oh, boo-hoo me. This person has no legs, no arms, and they have a brain that doesn't work perfectly, just like my brain that doesn't work perfectly. And they're just as human as I am. But when they say something, it means so much more, because I can see that no matter what the struggle is, they still believe that it has meaning, and it just makes it more meaningful. So if you look at yourself and you look at your mental conditions or you look at your physical conditions and you go, this sucks, right? That's true. It does. But what does it matter? Because life continues regardless. And you are going to make whatever you make of it with the choices that you make. Don't let it hold you back. One thing is, you're talking about how you feel like you have to laugh because you just really, honestly, you just missed it. And so you have this inclination, like, I've got to laugh too, or I'll be, like, I won't get to share in their fun, I think I did that for many years. I did that for a really long time growing up with all sorts of different stuff. I didn't get the joke, or I was really pretending who I was. I refused to ask questions in class because I didn't want anybody to know that I was stupid. I pretended to be smart. I was really worried about what other people thought, and I really wanted to fit in. And at the same time as I wanted to fit in, I also wanted to just disappear and not have anybody notice me. Weird. Um, and eventually, as I grew older, um, I started to kind of get into video games and stuff like that. And I made a bunch of friends online. And I thought to myself, how come online I've got all these friends and in real life I got like no friends? And I realized I wasn't being myself in real life. I was worrying about what other people thought of me instead of just being myself, being the best version of me. And I realized, you know what? If I take time and just say, hey, what happened? I missed it. It actually adds to other people's lives. See, if I pretend I saw something that I didn't, or I understand something that I don't, like people will go like, talk about something I have no clue about. Like they'll talk about the mechanics of the way a motor works. And I'll be like, yeah, I knew that. you know, I don't add anything to anybody's lives. But if I take that moment and I go, hey, could you explain that to me? I didn't understand that. They'll be like, oh, yeah. I'm more than happy to. Why? Because it makes me feel intelligent when I tell you the stuff I know, right? If you miss an experience because of your eyes, people will pardon you. They understand that you only have one eye. People will go, oh, of course you didn't see it. It was on the other side. Let me tell you what happened. It was actually really funny. And then they'll explain it to you, and then you can laugh with them a second time, right? So don't be afraid of doing that. That will only prove to improve your relationships. Why? Everyone has their problems. They're only ever going to feel more human by showing your vulnerable spots, right? You're only ever going to connect with other people more if you go, hey, I didn't see that. Could you tell me what happened? As opposed to laughing with them about something you didn't really see. But anyways, I hope that makes sense, and I hope that encourages you. But I'm going to move it on to Joe and see what Joe's got to say on this matter, because I know he's definitely helped me in this in a lot of ways too, by example. But yeah, take it away, Joe.
Well, I appreciate that, Ryan. And yes, Noah, you say you want to be a singer and songwriter. That's awesome. You are absolutely right. It won't affect that aspiration at all to be blind in one eye, for sure. Um, absolutely. So, I'm really glad that you have the attitude you have about this. I'm really glad, even though, yes, it's frustrating, even though it can be difficult and hard. There are those moments where it's just like, man, it'd be so much better if this wasn't the case. But at the same time, you understand that, hey, there's not really anything you can do about it. It's what it is. You got what we were saying before. It's what it's.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's what it's.
It's what it's. But one of the things I've learned, there's an author by the name of Hal Elrod, and he wrote a book called The Miracle Morning. He wrote a book called The Miracle Equation, and he had this time in his life. He was very successful as a salesman for Cutco, the knife company, right? And so he was doing sales for Cutco. He was very, very successful at it, and he had just given some talks and everything like that, and he was doing a really good job. And then he was on his way home from one of these meetings. He had done some sales presentations, and then he was also motivated. He was like leading a team too, and so he was like giving talks to them to help them get inspired to do better and everything. And so he had just delivered one of those. He was on his way home on the highway. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and he ended up in a head-on collision with a semi. He ended up dying for like a few minutes. and he was like just a mess. He had broken bones all over the place. He was paralyzed, and there was just all kinds of craziness. He was on a machine for for weeks. And the interesting thing was, because of some of the training he had gotten through being at Cutco, he had learned some principles. And he really like messed up the doctors a little bit, because he lived by this principle where he lives by this thing he calls the 5-minute rule. You're like, well, what's the 5-minute rule? 5-minute rule is you set a timer for 5 minutes. And during that 5 minutes, you can complain, you can curse, you can swear, you can moan, and whatever you want to do about your situation. You can just talk about it and be frustrated and all that kind of stuff. But when that timer goes off, you say to yourself, can't change it, and move on. You just get all the negative out of your system. You get all the complaining, all the moaning, and all that out in that 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, time for that, it's over. And it's time to say, I can't change it. And I get on with my life. And he did that in the hospital. Like he when he was finally conscious, he gave himself his 5 minutes. And he felt bad about it for 5 minutes. And then he was like, I'm done feeling bad about this. I can't change it. Here I am. So now what do I do to make this better? How do I live with this situation? Because I might be paralyzed for the rest of my life. I might not be able to move, like my legs. Now he has healed. He's recovered from that incident. But he, like, as he was in the hospital going through rehab, for all this stuff and learning how to, function again, like he had this great attitude, and he was joking around with the nurses, and he was having a good time, and he was like playing and really playful and having fun because he'd already given himself the 5 minutes. So now everything about what he was doing was just trying to make the situation better. And so he's like joking around with people and everything. And like his doctor got really, really concerned. It's like, I think he needs to see a psychologist. I think he's like actually got some post-traumatic something going on, because he's not supposed to be this happy. Like, I think he's repressing some stuff, right?
Yeah. That's pretty great.
And like, for serious, this doctor was dead serious. He talked to his parents and he was like, I think you really need to talk to him and say, how are you really doing? Like, I understand you say you're doing great and everything like that, but how are you really doing? Because we want to deal with it while he's here, rather than get him home and then maybe he turns to some kind of a vice, or maybe he falls deep into depression. We'd rather handle it while he's here around, the medical professionals and all that kind of stuff. So they talked to him and he's like, Dad, don't you know that I live by the 5-minute rule? And his dad was like, oh, well, I think I think I've heard you talk about that before. He's like, yeah, well, the 5-minute rule, where I have 5 minutes to complain about my situation, and then after that 5 minutes, it's over, and then I don't complain about it anymore. Dad, it's been 2 weeks. My 5 minutes was like a long time ago.
2 weeks ago.
So yeah. Noah, I see. What I do is think in my head, I've had worse. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've all been through tough stuff. And here's the thing that after I heard that story from Hal Elrod, because I listened to his books on Audible, which is the way I read books mostly now.
Not a sponsor, but
what's that?
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, right? But I do. It's just, that's where I got his information from. But he says, I can't change it. And then the thing he said was, the thing that causes you the problems, the thing that causes you the emotional struggle, is when you resist reality. So like, you have something that happens that Ryan, I love what Ryan was talking about. Bad is just a label. It's really just a label you put on something. Well, I don't like this, so therefore it's bad. But maybe it's not. Maybe in your case, like, because everybody sees something and they're laughing at it and you missed it. Maybe that's a moment for you to be able to add to the humor. Maybe there's some way that you can say, oh, well, here we go again. Can't see it. I missed it again. There's ways for you to insert humor in and to live with whatever's going on. And so he says, okay, when you start resisting the thing that's happening to you, that's when you feel the frustration. That's when you feel the tension. That's when it's hard and you feel negative, depressed feelings about it. When you accept it and you understand it's just a condition, it doesn't change anything. Like, I love what you said, Noah, because it doesn't change at all if you want to be a singer-songwriter. Doesn't change that one bit, because you can do that. And this won't hold you back one iota from that. In fact, because you have a lessened ability to see, it may heighten your ability to hear.
That's actually true. There are records of that being the case.
Absolutely. And so you may be in a better position as a musician because your ears will be working better. Your ears will be able to pick up more things than maybe than you would have if you had both eyes. You know, maybe it will make you better. It's so interesting. And so I encourage you, keep on the track that you're on. Cocoa Krispies, you can smell the music better too. Yes, you can. I love the smell of music in the morning.
Yeah, in the morning, especially.
Yes, in the morning.
I turn on the Breakfast Club and
Yep.
turn on the Newsboys, and we have Breakfast in Hell or whatever that song is.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's right.
They don't have Breakfast in Hell is what the song says, but yeah, I forget the name of the title.
I don't know if they have mornings there either.
Nah, it's I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I've never been
there.
to Hell, Michigan. It's a real place.
I've driven past Hell, Michigan.
Yeah.
My kids got a bandana that says Hell, Michigan. Both of them. They got.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a biker stop apparently.
Oh, I'm sure. With a name like that.
Yep. But at any rate, one of the things, the most powerful thing I learned is don't resist. Don't resist it. And when you feel frustrated about it, when you feel frustrated about whatever's going on, whether it's that or something else that's going on in your life, and anyone that's listening can do this with any challenge that you're having. You are feeling frustrated because you are resisting it. Now, we can be dissatisfied with our current conditions and still not be resisting them. Okay? So that's okay. We can be like, okay, this stinks. I want to make it better. All right. But I'm not going to resist. Okay, this is actually a thing. This is happening to me. Okay. I can't change the fact that this is happening to me, that I am in this position right now. I can't change that. However, what can I do to make it better? How can I make this more livable? How can I make this more manageable? How can I make it fun? Can I make it fun? Can I make it an adventure? You start asking those questions, then lights start popping up and you're like, whoa, I can make this an adventure. Life is a grand adventure. Everything can be an adventure for sure. And it gets to be amazing. So keep that in mind. Tuck that back in the back of your mind. When you feel frustrated and depressed, there's probably something that you are resisting. And you need to just be like, okay, I can't change that thing right now. However, I can make it better. And what happens when just that statement right there gives you hope. And hope makes your situation way more tolerable, way more manageable, way more positive than you ever had before. Just that sense of hope. So that's what I got. Ryan, what else you have?
Yeah, not much else. I really appreciate that, what you said, and it's so true. Hope is everything. I mean, hope creates all things. Literally, like all things are created from hope. Despair creates nothing, right? So I mean, one thing that you might think of is, like Joe said, be funny about it. You know, add some humor to it. I think that really helps. When we, just like Joe said, there are certain things when you come to accept it is how it is. You accept reality. You say these are the facts. You don't have to be happy about it, but to understand this is the way it is important, because then it allows you to move forward, right? Then you're no longer struggling with, oh, I wish it wasn't this way. How do I change it? I can't change it. And your mind does loops and gets nowhere, right? When you can just say, this is how it is. And I'm going to make that okay. Let's just keep on moving forward, right? You can be dissatisfied with the results or whatever, but just keep on moving forward. And I think that's super important. And sometimes humor adds a lot. You being one of the people with your conditions. I mean, I recently had a priest who he has a severe stuttering problem. And priests, they're supposed to talk a lot. And so when he gets, you know, up on the I forget the name of it, the area, for lack of better words right now, when he gets in front of everybody, he you know, one of the first things he says, he's like, just so you know, I have a stuttering problem, you know, and he's trying to say this, and it's like, just so you know, I have a and he's like that, right? And it's like really bad. And he makes a joke out of it though. So it, like, he acknowledges that it's true, right? He doesn't make it feel awkward, because he just comes in the room and he's like, hey, just so you know, I got a stuttering problem.
I have a
an
struggling
English
problem.
I have a stuttering struggle. And he says, so I can't remember exactly how he says it, but it's really funny because he's just like, so you guys are my victims for the next hour or so. Basically.
That's great.
To my stuttering problem, because you're the ones that have to deal with it. You know, it was great. But when you add humor to the reality of things, it makes it a lot easier to deal with. So one thing I was laughing about when Joe was talking about, you know, when you don't see something, you can add to the humor of, you know, everyone's laughing about something, you didn't see it. That's an opportunity for you to even add more humor. One thing that immediately came to my mind that I thought was funny was, guys, we have 7 eyes between us and I still didn't see it. Be like, yeah, but you only, oh, I only have, okay, yeah, I only have one. You know, you could, pointing out the obvious is hysterical sometimes. So it really depends on your sense of humor, but it can be uplifting, it can be freeing to just admit the truth, make fun of it, not to make fun of yourself or put yourself down, but to just come to this is the way it is. Why not have fun with it? Instead of the opposite, you know, instead of despise it and feel bad about it, why not have fun with it? That will change a lot. That will change a lot of your attitude towards other people, yourself, and the situation that you're in. Just understanding that, hey, you can make good of it. You get to be one of the few people that walks around with one eye, right? That is kind of a blessing. There are many blessings that come along with it. Joe was talking about some, you know, and yes, it can make you stand out and be unique in that matter. And I think a lot of times it does. We have people who are famous musicians who are blind. Not a whole lot with only one eye. But, you know, it is something that can add to who you are instead of take away from who you are. Don't let it take away from who you are, because it doesn't. In reality, it doesn't take away from your soul. It doesn't take away from your personality. It can, however, add to your uniqueness. And I think to just allow it to do that is totally okay. Yep, Stevie Wonder. Exactly what I was thinking of. He was big. He was super talented, amazing.
Great songs. Great songs.
Yeah. Incredible pianist. Anyways, yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say though. Noah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing with us. And yeah, just carry on. Chase after your dreams. Like I said in the end of the last one, the main thing that makes people successful is perseverance, is sticking with it. So if you don't let anything get in the way, just keep on trying, man, and you'll do awesome. You got nothing holding you back. But anyways, let's move on, huh?
So true. Yes. Wow. After the surgery, you couldn't see for the next 10 hours.
Oh my gosh. That gotta be
After
quite
surgery,
interesting.
I would probably be asleep for at least
for the next 10 hours. Yeah. I mean, I would hate being blind, but I'd also not hate going through that experience. I could imagine myself enjoying not seeing anymore, but not that I want to go through that. I recognize that is not a fun thing, but at the same time, I recognize my personality would be like, that sounds like an interesting thing. Interesting enough to not force it upon myself, but if I went through it, I could try to experience it with joy. One of those, I guess the last thing I can say here is, Noah, in life, we make sacrifices, and sometimes these sacrifices are forced upon us. Understand that sacrifice is a beautiful thing. Suffering is a beautiful thing. Suffering is not bad. Suffering is painful, but pain is not bad. Pain, we know that our muscles grow bigger because of pain, right? We understand that we cannot actually prove that we love something until we go through pain to show it. Until we show, hey, I can go through that problem and beat it, to show you that I love you. I can go through this pain because I really want this so badly. Suffering is a beautiful thing. And so when you're forced to have this suffering upon you, always try to look at it in a different light. Try to shine the light on it and appreciate that suffering, because suffering brings about wonderful and incredible things that you would not have otherwise. And it's hard to understand that when you're going through it because it's painful. But later in life, you often come back to those moments where you're like, you know what? I'm grateful. And you can always make so much of it. But anyways, that's all I got to say. I wanted to end with that.
Our lives are built on struggle. This character is built on struggle. Our strength is built on struggle, and all those moments that are difficult and hard, it makes us to be able to handle things better in the future. And it's so amazing, because those things that are painful and hard, yes, the struggle makes us strong. Pig seat Jello, quoting Life Might Takes Us. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's
or a reason for suffering. That's a good one too, for that sentiment.
Yeah. Absolutely. So anyway, thank you so much for the you were William and you changed your name to Pig Seat Jello.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Noah, so much for the topic. And I think you've got a great attitude and a great outlook for what's going on. So I appreciate you a lot. And I can't wait to hear some of the stuff you come up with and you write and that you sing and everything. I think I hope that if you start producing material, you share it with us,
Yeah.
So I would love to hear it. So anyway, and I know Ryan would too. I'm going to speak for him.
Thanks.
He just said, yeah, but he might've been saying yeah to anything. Yeah.
I suppose that's true.
I will let you know.
I'll give you that one. I mean,
oh my. So yes. So anyway, thank you so much, Noah. And let's move to the next topic. Let's see how many of these we can do. Cody is next, and I think that's Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah. Man, I love your name. I love Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah. Cocoa Krispies are good. I love the milk after it sets in the Cocoa Krispies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, your name's so delicious.
Yep. Braden, do you have a topic?
Hey, do you have a topic in here?
Are you Yume?
Sevlev?
Sevlev? Oh yeah, we got Yume.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. Well, then you are next.
That's
I
right.
misspoke.
You do come just before Cody.
See. We'll see. Maybe we can get you both.
I hope we can.
We'll see. All right. Since I don't have to get up at dark 30 for Double Cup of Joe anymore. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So all right.
8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays?
Tuesdays. Yes.
Hey,
That's when
I
we
got it
record
right.
those. It's gonna be fun. All right. So we've got the link from Princess in the chat. And yeah. Oh, hey, there you are. You may as Braden. You even have you got the same thing right there. So cool. All right. And this is Home to My Heart. Is that the topic? All right, let's do it. Princess?
I'm coming.
Hey, there you are.
Oh, take your time, please.
Hurry, quick.
Take your time faster, all right?
Take your
No,
time
I'm just
quickly.
kidding.
You guys are making it so hard.
We love you. That's why.
Sorry.
We just want to prove that you love us also.
Yes.
Using the weird logic.
We will make you struggle.
We make you struggle because
Braden, I've recently regained my faith. I've had a lot of dreams about the end, in quotes. I have also had a dream about me making music after, once again, wondering what I wanted to do. Then I had another dream about me wanting to pursue animation over music. Today, I even saw an ad for filmmaking that put it in a way that makes it seem like it was meant to be. But then I have also fallen in love with synthwave/retrowave/synth pop music and bought a lot of expensive and somewhat unnecessary but awesome music equipment. That being said, yes, I've changed my mind again. Instead of being a singer, however, I might just be an electronic producer, like Alan Walker. That way, I don't have to worry about my voice and I can focus on the instrumentals/production, yet I still have a stage. Maybe even write some of the lyrics if something hits me. Okay. So I've changed my mind again. What's new? A lot, actually, and I'm very eager and happy to share this with you all. I've made quite an interesting decision recently. I have been wanting to go back to my original self recently. I miss being able to do what I was and lived like I lived. I might just get that, but at the same time, it might be completely different. It'll be the same me that I was, but just better and with some new memories. A new start. It'll be home to my heart. Recently, I asked my friends who I regained contact with, such as May, why they ever fell in love with me to begin with. Then I asked someone, who I shall not name, from Static Server why they decided to be with me. The results were different. For May, it was because she said I always listened to her problems, no matter how big or small, that I cared about her, and that I always made her feel like she was someone special. For the other, it was because she felt bad for me. These two different results left me to reflect. I asked because I wanted to expand the parts of me that were good. But while doing so, I also got hit hard with guilt. It doesn't matter who I was nice to when, in the end, I hurt them both anyways. Then I found another server and made a lot of friends. They're all nice, but then they revealed another issue about myself, that I can't carry a full conversation without becoming depressed over something. Luckily, this is no longer an issue, and that's awesome. I've learned not to get too consumed by my past. After all, I am not my demons. And as the cherry on top, I am now a staff member of that server, an admin to be specific. However, if I can do all this, why stop here? Why not strive for the best ending I could ever imagine? Why not do everything I set my mind to? There's no reason to quit now. As for the question, there's an aspect of me I feel could use a little more fixing, ironically. I wish to be like Ryan and Joe in a lot of aspects, but especially in their ability to have a saint's patience. So, how do I become that? Also, P.S. Ryan, if you didn't see my message I sent on Discord, I sent you a message. Don't want to put any pressure on you, but when you get a chance, it would mean the world to me if you could just let me know. Love, Cherry.
Hey.
Well, thank you so much. I was starting to wonder if that was you.
Yeah, I was thinking. So by the time we got to May, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, there we go.
Yep. So anyway, I really appreciate your post. And this is a great question. It's not an easy one to answer necessarily. Ryan has probably the best answer out of anybody I've ever known. And so I can't wait to hear him say what he's got to say. But a saint's patience. Patience is one of the virtues.
Sure is.
It is. What is do you remember the deadly sin that patience is the counter for?
No,
I think it's wrath.
that makes sense.
Yes. Sloth
Oh,
is
sloth.
yes, sloth, but that's not diligence is the countering
Right.
virtue for that. But I think patience is
Right.
the countering virtue for anger or wrath. But anyway, to have a saint's patience, I can't wait to hear what Ryan has to say. Ryan,
Sure.
have at it.
I just want to say, did you guys know that sloth is pronounced sloth? I didn't learn that until a couple, like probably last year. Apparently, the actual way you pronounce it, I always pronounce it sloth, like the animal.
Like a three-toed sloth.
Yeah, like a three-toed sloth. Apparently, it's actually pronounced sloth. Sloth is the animal, which they are obviously very similar.
Every time I think of a sloth, I think of the movie, the whatever that movie was.
Where he's at the register and he's like,
yeah.
Yes, precisely. Zootopia. Thank you, Noah. You got it. Oh man. So anyways, Joe, I appreciate you turning this over to me for, to say that. I mean, patience is one of those things that you know, I still wish I could be better at, to be honest, but I've been very, 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 very blessed and graced by God that I have patience. I think my patience came from fear, actually, to start with, believe it or not. I very much feared my father because my father was an angry alcoholic, and I didn't want to be around him. And I had to learn patience quickly so that I could mentally cope and not become a terror to myself and a terror to my family. I just had to learn to just be okay with people not being perfect, because it was going to do me a lot better than worrying about such a thing. I think also the more you realize that you're not perfect yourself, and you also take the time to recognize that's true for everybody, the easier patience comes. The easier you kind of can give slack to and pardon to failure or to how fast things are going. You realize, yes, there are certain things that should be urgent, but at the same time, to remain calm and patient throughout that is super important, right? It's something that you practice and you learn, and you get better at as you go. You kind of have to be patient with yourself to get patience, and that's weird, but that's the way it goes. One thing I want to say real quick, though, before I continue on that, is welcome back, Trey. Nice to have you with us.
Yes.
Or Braden. Braden's your actual real name. And so it was kind of funny because once it got through, like halfway through this post, and I was like, wait a minute, is this Cherry? Oh yeah, Cherry's name is Braden, so that would make sense. And then you revealed that it was Cherry later. So yeah, no, I think it's really great to have you here, and it's super awesome to hear that you found another server. You're making friends on. You're noticing things about yourself where you can still improve, and I think that's super awesome. You heard me just recently talk about this, but that desire for perfection is healthy, right? But we have to understand that we can't be perfect, right? We can understand that no matter what we do, no matter what we create, there's no such thing as perfection in that, because of opinion. So many things that we create are a matter of opinion. And humans, while people say, you know, things aren't black and white. It's true. The world is full of colors, but black and white are a part of those colors. So guys, don't get carried away.
Yes.
I hate it when people say, "Oh, I don't believe that the world's black and white. It's full of colors, blues, greens, reds, of all the different shades." And I'm like, that is beautiful. Don't use that as an excuse to say that there's no such thing as black and white, because those are still part of the spectrum. And there are dark shades of red. Trust me. But anyways, no. I think that humans, we're all different, right? And we have these failures, right? We have these problems, we have these shortcomings, you know, and that is part of what makes us us. It's not okay. It's not okay that, you know, we sin and that sort of thing, right? It's not a good thing, right? And I'm not in any way trying to make that say, oh, it's a good thing that you're evil or something, right? But what I am trying to say is, of course, as I've always said, we weren't made to be perfect. We were made to be good, right? When God created us, he said it was good, right? When God created man, he said, oh, I've created man. Yes. Awesome. And it is good. It isn't perfect. In fact, he said that about the world that we live in, the earth, right? You look at the earth and you're like, you're right. It isn't perfect. We've got tornadoes and monsoons and all sorts of weird stuff. We've got droughts, we've got deserts and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. We've got animals that eat each other and us. We've got birds that poop on our cars. And that was evil. No, I'm just kidding. This is what we consider natural evil, right? And then we have evil that is, we call that, moral evil. We have natural evil and moral evil, right? We have certain things about ourselves which aren't great. And we need patience to get through those things, right? Sharks eat people. Yeah, you're right, Noah. That's what? Wow. Those sharks are terrible people.
Yeah, dang shark.
Yeah.
Especially
Wow, where's the dignity? You know? Sharknado. Okay, anyways. Such a dumb movie. I've never watched it, but that's hilariously dumb.
I watched like 5 minutes of it.
Oh, 5 minutes? That's pretty good. Yeah. It's 5 minutes longer than I had. Anyways, my point is, we weren't made to be perfect. So understanding that allows us to go, okay, what is lacking in me is still okay, right? And what is lacking in others is still okay, right? If I look at somebody else and they are totally messing something up, if I choose to be patient with them, I find I have better results than getting impatient, going, don't do it that way. That's not how it goes, right? I find so much more result in spending time with them and going, you can figure it out. I'll help you if you need, but you can figure it out. I'm not going to help you a whole lot. I'm going to try to get you started on the next step, if anything, but I'm not going to do much more than that. We're going to, I want you to do it. Why? Because that makes them feel good about themselves. That is the most important thing I could ever do for anybody, is make them feel good about themselves, because that encourages them to go on in life and do that for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with doing it for yourself. Before you can do it for others, you can do it for others, right? But it becomes more sincere when you're able to do it for yourself as well. So becoming patient with yourself is really important. To pardon your own bad sides, you're lacking, what you're not good at. We all have this, and these are areas where we can improve. And this is great. We can take time to go, okay, this is one of my issues. I'm going to work on that, right? I'm going to try to get better at that. How do I do that? I go outside my comfort zone. I do the things I'm uncomfortable doing until they become comfortable. Until they become a natural part of me. And I think that's awesome, right? That's so cool. Guys, that is so cool. Angels don't get to do that. Angels are created creatures and they are stagnant. They are created as they are. They make a decision on, hey, do I want to be evil or good? And then bam, that's all they are for the rest of their life. They don't improve in skill on anything. They don't get better. They are simply as they are. And that is cool. That's beautiful. Sometimes I wish that was me. I mean, I wish I was just, set in stone as awesome, period. Didn't have
I'm
to.
everything was fulfilled already.
Yeah. Everything is just perfect as it is, But at the same time, it's just like we were talking about last topic. When you watch a good movie, it's good because you can see the character growth. You look at that person, you're like, wow, they've really come through. They've really changed who they are inside to help make the situation good. And it takes growth, it takes patience to get there, right? So understanding the logic behind patience really helps, like understanding, hey, if I choose to be patient right now, I'm going to reap so much more value out of this scenario than I ever will from anything else. So first of all, understanding that helps a ton because that puts our mind in the right place to act that out when those moments come. Whenever we feel ourselves getting like, oh man, antsy about anything, like, oh man, I got to go fix that. I got to go do something, or that's really bugging me. Whenever anything is considered annoying to me, if I consider something annoying to me, I have to realize that it's not annoying. It's my lack of tolerance. It's a lack in myself that makes that annoying. That is just a thing. It's me interpreting it. And so if I think it's annoying, doesn't mean other people do. It's purely an opinion. It's my lack of tolerance or my way of looking at it that has to change. These are important to understand, like, hey, I have to be a master of my own mind, a master of my own emotions, master of myself, so that I can evaluate things and start to move things in the right direction. And now, Cherry, I know you do this, which is great. You're already on your way, right? So if you want to be really patient, I think the first step is acknowledging, why is it valuable? It's valuable in so many ways. It puts us at peace, right? In so many times, like patience is like the gateway virtue, I feel. If you have patience, all the other virtues kind of align themselves a lot easier because you're not dealing with all the hullabaloo that you get involved with when you don't have patience, right? You can actually take your time and be okay with yourself when you're not getting the virtue right away. It allows you to persevere, right? It allows you to have better relationships with other people and with yourself. So in the end, though, how do you work out patience? Two things. One, rely on and pray heavily to the Holy Spirit. I've said many times, the Holy Spirit. Now, normally I wouldn't do a religious talk, but I'm doing a religious talk right now because Cherry is religious and they said so. They have faith right at the beginning of this topic.
You're asking about a saint's patience.
Yeah, and you mentioned saint.
In there too,
so if you want patience, right, I would say rely on and pray to the Holy Spirit. Ask for the Holy Spirit's help. If you don't know much about the Holy Spirit, right? I don't want to get too sidetracked and do like an hour-long talk on that, but you can do some research. But the thing is, the more you ask for the Holy Spirit to intervene and be a part of your life, the more you start to really learn who the Holy Spirit is. Every miracle that's ever happened has been granted by the Holy Spirit, is through Jesus. And it's kind of crazy how that whole thing goes on, right? It's beyond human capabilities. So it's something that you have to just go, oh, okay, I see. I can't do that myself, of course, but all right. But anyhow, I've said many times, the Holy Spirit is my best friend because he's the one that makes me look good. Whenever I do something that looks good, it's usually because of the Holy Spirit, right? If it's like, wow, that guy has such nice patience, I'm like, that doesn't come from me. That comes from my understanding and the act of the Holy Spirit through me, right? That comes from me acknowledging the Holy Spirit and allowing the Holy Spirit to do what he wills, and me to follow that lead, right? For me to go, okay, what would the Holy Spirit want me to do here, right? To constantly acknowledge that helps me in all that I do. A lot of times I'll take a moment when I know that I'm not being patient and I recognize it. Whenever that comes, whenever I notice my attitude isn't on spot, I immediately withdraw and pray to the Holy Spirit. And it's just a quick prayer. For me, it's just, come, Holy Spirit, come. Now, the Holy Spirit's already with me, right? So why am I saying come? I'm saying I'm opening my heart to you now so you can start to speak to me. I'm listening now. I'm here for you now and you are here for me, right? It's a form of unity. It's like, hey, my house, I'm opening up my heart to you so that you can dwell in here more actively and help me. So it comes with humility, it comes with understanding and being humble in that respect. But like I said, number one is praying to the Holy Spirit and just asking the Holy Spirit to come and relying on that, right? And number two is through habit. It's doing it over and over and over until it becomes natural for you to act that way, right? Natural for you to forgive people as they are doing something bad, or you notice something is not right with somebody else and you're like, well, that's not really how you should be thinking about this. You're wrong. You're just wrong, right? And if you can take your time and just be like, I'm not going to say that, that's patience, right? Because you understand they'll get it eventually. They'll understand eventually. You don't have to tell them. They'll go their way and figure it out, right? And you can drop little hints and clues just by being you. But, that's one of those things where patience pays off. Because when people experience things, it means a whole lot more than when you just tell them. And it's a lot better than getting in an argument, And it's true for yourself too. How do you talk to yourself? Are you patient with yourself? And I think that, again, there in that moment, whenever you notice you're not being patient with yourself, immediately just go to God and be like, God, you talk to me then. I can't handle him. Who is this guy inside of me? He's not listening to me. Like, he's stupid. God, you talk to him. Hey, go to God. And go to the Holy Spirit. I mean, for me, that's everything. That's the root of all my patience. And so that's what I hope you can have as well. But anyways, again, it's doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes a natural part of you. So anyways, that's what I got to say. I know it was a lot. I know it took like 11 minutes or 12, 15 minutes, whatever it took. I'm sorry. But I'm going to go over to Joe. And I apologize to anybody who's might be offended by religious speaking, but it was the context of the topic. So anyways, go ahead, Joe.
Yep. Patience is one of those things. And Ryan, I love your explanation. I think patience is a virtue that kind of unlocks a lot of the other ones, and it makes other ones easier to assimilate, for sure. But honestly, I think all 7 cardinal virtues, and I can't remember the names of them all. I'm sure Princess would be able to put them all in the chat for us in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yes, she's amazing. But I know, and I'm actually just kind of going through this. I was just learning. Okay, there we go. Chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, patience, kindness, and humility. Yes, the thing about the 7 cardinal virtues is they all, if you focus on working on one of them, all of them improve in your life.
So true.
All of them. It's amazing. Like I remember when Ryan and I this past Lent, we took up a form of fasting. And we're like, okay, let's do this type of fast, and we'll kind of support each other and everything like that. And it was kind of a cool bonding experience. At least it was.
And Princess also was doing fast with us as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And so, but that's, I mean, as Roman Catholics, that's kind of, Lent and Advent are times when, a lot of times you pick something to fast from. And it's not as a way to punish people and say, oh, don't do this because you're bad. It's a way to discipline yourself because it's understood that improving, like to discipline yourself in one of the virtues helps you with all of them and increases you in all of them. And it's totally true. So, I mean, and it's not necessarily, you don't just necessarily have to fast from food. You can fast from video games for a day or for a few hours or whatever. Or you can just, as long, it's really just the act of self-denial where you say, that's something I want to do right now. I'm not going to do it until I'm going to wait an hour.
And it can be
Or I'm
something
going to
that's healthy
wait.
for you,
Yep,
like
absolutely.
eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's even better if it's something that's good for you. If you just don't do something that's bad for you, that's just good, actually.
Yeah, that's like you should normally be doing that. It's not really fasting. That's finally doing the right thing. No.
Exactly.
That is hilarious. I didn't think about that, but that's great.
So really, when you fast, it should be something that is a good thing for you, right? And so, like, with Ryan's classic example that I love is that when he was doing inspections, he would eat half of his lunch and he would set the other half right there, and he would just look at it, and he would wait. Or maybe it wasn't when you were inspecting. I don't know.
It was when I was inspecting.
Okay, so he'd have a sandwich and he'd eat half of it, and then he would set it next to him, and I'm not going to eat that for an hour or 2 hours or however long the time period was that day, right? And so it's like, I'm not going to eat it for that amount of time. And that tiny little act of self-discipline, I know, increased his abilities in patience. It increased his humility. It increased his chastity. It increased his abstinence, because that's the definition of abstinence. Which I think is the same as temperance. The Princess put temperance on there, which is the same as abstinence.
Yeah.
The act of denying yourself, really.
Right. Self-control.
Yep. So anything you can do, even those little things, help you. And if your goal is to have saintly patience, one, I would say you're already well on your way, because look at where you are now compared to when you first joined us on this show. I remember when you first joined us on this show, you were definitely not an admin of a server where you had a whole bunch of friends. There had been all kinds of things that had happened, and relationships had been strained, and there was all kinds of stuff that was going on. And here you are now, you're in a completely different place. You are on a path, my friend, a path towards good. And good things are already happening. And so I would encourage you, keep doing what you're doing. For one, because you are seeing the effects on it. Now, here's the other thing. Patience, there are a couple different kinds. There's patience where I'm waiting for something to happen. And there's also patience with other people. And those are two different things. Now, it's the same type of thing. We're just it's like we're waiting. We are, calming ourselves. We're controlling our emotions while we allow time to pass and this thing to occur and this person to be the way they are, and we're just not losing our cookies over it. We're just keeping it calm and controlled, right? Either way, understand this: time is passing, and it's going to pass. I learned that when I first started my journey of physical fitness, I remember hearing a story. Actually, I think it was Chris Pratt. He was one of the Hollywood people who had like a pretty major transformation in his physique. And he said, "Oh yeah, to do that, I mean, it was a lot of discipline. It was a lot of discipline in eating and a lot of discipline in physical activity, both. And it was, it seems like an overnight thing, but it was really 8 months to a year just to get some nominal results, really. But this is the thing he said that stuck with me. He was like, that 8 months is going to pass anyway. it's going to go by.
That's so true.
Now, I don't know how long you've lived on this planet, but you're here. There's been stuff that's happened, but you made it here. I remember when I was in the RCIA program, getting ready to come into the Catholic Church, there was a time of anticipation, and I was starting to get like all impatient about it. Ryan can remember.
I remember that.
I remember being super frustrated, like, but like, why do I have to wait? Like every other church I've ever joined, I just was able to join it. I showed up,
Yeah,
and they're like, "Hey, come on in, welcome."
I remember that.
Here, it's like they make me wait.
Yeah.
No,
I just want to be a part of that. Like, come on. But I already know. Okay, I already know this stuff.
But that time passed anyway. And as Saint Teresa of Avila said, all things are passing away. And when you understand that, you understand all things are passing away, you included. Your body, our bodies are here and they deteriorate and they have issues and they break down, all kinds of stuff. This computer that I have, it won't be long. It'll be a year, 2, 5, something, and this computer will be gone. I'll need a different one. This camera that I'm looking at right here, yep, that's going to be gone too. All things are passing away. And when you understand that, for a minute, it might seem like, well, that's a depressing thought, but really, it's a liberating thought. It's freeing because you can just relax a little bit. You can be like, you know, maybe things aren't as big a deal as I make them out to be all the time. When I struggled with patience, that was my main issue. It wasn't necessarily that I had trouble waiting. It was the fact that I just didn't like the way things were, you know?
Mhm.
And I just put too much importance on those conditions. When I understood all things are passing away, and I would encourage you to look up that prayer of Saint Teresa of Avila. It's like if you just type in prayer of Saint Teresa of Avila, I'm sure that it would come up. You know, the whole thing. It's pretty short, but let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things are passing away, and you know that is such a peaceful and tranquil thing when you actually experience the effects of those words. But anyway, I'd encourage you to do that. Stay on track. Stay on the track you're on because I'm so proud of you. You've gone so far from when I first met you in this chat, and here you are now. And I'm so proud to see where you've come. So anyway, Ryan, what else you got?
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. You know, I guess one more thing is to just kind of focus on one of your last points there, which was wow, I've forgotten. When something is like patience that comes from acknowledging something isn't the way you want it, right? A lot of times that's when we lose our patience because we don't want it this way, right? This is not how we wanted it. And we start to get aggravated. We start to become impatient. And sometimes that is what it is. It's not necessarily somebody else and what they're doing and what they're suffering through. And you're just like, you want to help them, but they can't, but you can't, right? Or it might not be like, come on, we need to get to school on time. It might be something else, right? You know, you're stuck on the bus and you can be patient there. But as soon as it's something like, you know, you had a project and it's not turning out right, you start to lose your patience. You're playing a game and things aren't going your way. You start to lose patience. There are these things, right? And they happen to all of us. So in those moments, I really, really appreciate what Joe just said. And that is basically back onto the path of just because it's bad or just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad.
Mhm.
We have to come to the maturity, if you will, to understand just because I want it some way doesn't mean I should, cry just because I don't have it my way, right? To cry because it's not my way is futile, right? And to get upset, in fact, makes things worse. I mean, that's why you're asking this question. We are all very aware of that. When you get upset over a situation that it might be out of your control or things are just not going your way, they could if you tried, but they're just not right at this moment. And so we start to get angry, start to freak out and become mean or whatever. We lose control of sight of ourselves. How do we remain patient in those scenarios? And I think that is to learn somehow to enjoy that sense of things aren't going my way. When things aren't going my way, well, maybe that's not for the best, right? So I can't say good, but I can say, I'm enjoying this. This is a challenge. How am I going to solve it? It makes a whole different story. When you go like that, right? When you go, ooh, this is a challenge. How am I going to solve this? It's completely different than, what's going on? Why aren't things, what, it's completely different, right? To remain calm, to keep that cool about you is so crucial, into making anything work out better. So when you are going through a scenario where it's not turning out your way, maybe try to remember the song that I wrote. I can't remember. It's the Change in Plan. What's the name of that song?
Life Might Take Us.
Life Might Take Us. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't even know some noun song titles. Life might take us, right? We never know when this life might take us.
All those. I know what they are.
So I get excited when there's a change in plan, right? That song was written on that note. There's so many times where things don't go according to plan. They don't go our way. Why don't we just get excited instead of upset? Right? If we only decided to get excited, because here's the thing. Here's something to remember. One of the most alluring and attractive things to humankind is wonder. When you wonder about something, it really thrills your mind and you're like, oh, what about this? Or what about that? Wait a minute. If that's true, then, oh, I wonder, Wonder is a beautiful thing that drives humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, when things aren't going your way, right, and you start to lose patience, remember, this is a moment of wonder. This is a moment of wonder. Respect it and enjoy it because it is enjoyable. It is respectable. When things aren't going your way, you can take that moment to go, ooh, I wonder if I can change this to go back on my way. Or I wonder if this is even better. I wonder if I was held up here because I'm supposed to think about something to make this even better than what I wanted. Even better than what I wanted. Because a lot of times that's what happens. We get even better than what we wanted. We just don't understand until like months pass and we look back at it and go like, oh, well, I'm glad it worked out that way then. I don't know why I was so angry about it. I was just emotional. I felt attacked or I wanted things to go my way and they weren't,
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you encounter those experiences, I hope you can remember this conversation or that we've had this talk. I hope you can remember to understand that this is a moment of wonder. There's a whole concept of wonder over fear. Whenever you're afraid of something, instead of being afraid of it, you can choose to wonder about it and say, what if? And have that what if moment. That what if moment takes away all fear. Because then you take away, oh no, I'm scared. Like, oh geez, what's going to happen? What if this happens? What if that? Bad stuff, And instead you just flip a switch and make it positive and be like, oh, this could be really cool. So, and you take that fear and you shift it into anticipation, a desire to explore that dark cave, to find out what is inside there. There could be treasure, right? There could be, whatever, right? Instead of being afraid of it, you change it into something, oh, wonderful, right? So wonder drives humanity. So allow it to drive you. Tap into that. Whenever you're in this situation where you feel like I'm not being very patient, see if you can turn into wonder. But anyways, that's what I got. I hope that helps. A lot of it is just to do with who do you think you are? Be humble, but you are who you act like.
Mhm.
So in those moments, act as though you have peace. Act as though you have patience. Act as though you are incredibly kind and just, oh, I could wait forever for you. Like, I don't care. It's all right. I can wait forever for this to happen. It's okay. It's all right. And you act that way. It will become who you are. And that's really kind of like the bottom line there. So imagine yourself to be that person and be that every time that you're given that chance, to be that patient individual. And that will drive you to that destination that you're looking for. And again, like I said, prayer helps a lot in that. So anyways, that's what I got. Thank you so much for the question. And yeah, carry on.
Yes, thank you so much. And again, I'm impressed with where you are. I'm impressed with where you've come, and you are on your way to having that saintly patience. Now, the thing to understand, the thing to remember is you'll never perfect it in this world. There will always be room for improvement. And as people will say to me, I really appreciate you respecting where we are and saying you'd like to be like us, in that ability to
Yeah,
have
that's
saintly
very kind of you.
patience. I really appreciate you saying that. But all I have to do is look around me, and I see examples of people that are so much better at it than I am, and I
Mhm.
aspire to be like them.
Yeah.
And they the same way, like, they look at other people and they're like, man, can you imagine what it'd be like to be like this person? So there's always an example of somebody beyond, and the ultimate example obviously is Christ. That's the prime example of all the virtues. But yeah, I really appreciate everything that you said there, and I hope that some of the things that we said have been helpful. And yeah, you're awesome. So Coco, I wanted to be able to get to yours, but we are at that point in the show where
Yeah.
we're beyond the 2 hour mark, and
Sorry about that.
it's okay. Hey, it is all your fault, Ryan. But
It is.
but we'll have patience with you.
Oh, thank you guys.
I'm so sorry. But and I'm especially sorry because we called your name, and then there was another before. So, but we will be back on Wednesday for another one of these, and we
Mhm.
would love to have you back, and we would love to talk about your topic at that point.
Yeah, if there's anybody in the chat that we didn't get to, there's a likelihood that we'll be getting to it next time.
Mhm.
Since our list isn't too huge right now. Yeah, because there were a couple of people here today that weren't able to get to, so we're sorry, but we will be back on Wednesday.
Yep.
We have
So
cataloged them for you.
yes, we
Princess
have
has.
them. They are saved and they're stored and they're ready to go. And then you'll hear your name on the list. And Ryan will say the name on the list. So,
Yeah,
because
that's true.
he's much better at it than me. But
I'm not really sure that that's true, but okay.
but anyway, thank you guys so much for being here with us on Don't Worry Wednesday. We will be back on next Wednesday for Don't Worry Wednesday, and we'll handle more of your topics, and hopefully we'll get through the ones that we missed this week. Also, feel free to join us for Double Cup of Joe, the live streamed recording session on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Joe and I will be recording an entire week's worth of shows. We had a really good time with everybody that came and joined us. It's fun when you do all the shows for a week in a 2 hour session.
But it's a blast.
It's it's fast paced and it's fun. We did a lot of laughing. We did a lot of joking around. It was a super good time. And for those of you who have been around and who saw some of the Double Cup of Joe live streams at 6 a.m., Joe is like awake for these. Like, so you actually get to see what he's like when he's awake, because all those early ones,
It's like a whole new dynamic.
yeah,
It's like a whole new energy
he was
on
like
one half
half
of the.
asleep, you know. That poor guy, he would show up and he'd be like, how you doing today, Joe? He's like, shut up.
Oh no. Are you excited about this coming? Oh, please just hold on one more minute. One more minute. I gotta
Quiet.
close my
Can you be
eyes.
quiet, please? Can you be quiet?
Oh jeez.
No, I can't be quiet.
But
It's morning.
serious mad props to him for doing it anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's amazing.
Yep, he did. But now it's much more fun, especially with all you guys there. It's way fun. So anyway, feel free to join us Tuesday, and you can check out the edited versions of the show. They release every morning, Monday through Friday at 3 a.m. Eastern. So for those of you in America, it should be there for when you wake up, or it's probably still there when you're still awake in the middle of the night. Either way, we had to pick a time. That's the time. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Jackson, welcome. We're
Oh man.
just wrapping up.
Oh, buddy, come 2 hours earlier next time. Next Wednesday. We have this every Wednesday, and we hope to have you there because then we get to enjoy your presence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you guys so much. It was a real pleasure to be with you, and we will see you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday, next Wednesday. So take care, guys. We'll see you then.
See you guys later. Bye-bye. Peace.